Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. I am so happy to have you back. So we're going to be going over everything I read in September. I read 5 books, and I know that's not a lot in booktube standards, but I have not managed to read that many books in a month since June because I've been in an awful, I don't even know if I can say a reading slump. I think it's been a life slump. It's been a little interesting, but this is the first time I've actually managed to do it in so long, and I'm really proud of myself, so you all should be proud of me, and I don't want to hear any other words about it. So we're gonna go over all the books that I have read so far, and then we are going to go over my October TBR and everything that I hopefully want to read this month. And we'll see if that actually happens. So the first book I read in September is Dragon Fruit by Micaiah Lucier, or Lucier, I'm not totally sure. This book was super cute. I had a good time with it. It was very like cozy fantasy, like it was just a fun time. It was a cutie little fun time, and I think I was maybe just like slightly out of the like age demographic for this book. I think if I was 16 and I had read this book, I would have thought it was amazing. But like the pacing was a little odd, and the final battle didn't really final battle. And it was just kind of like, oh, all right, and it's over. Wow. So some of those things kind of bugged me. I didn't feel super invested in the whole story, like overall, but I really loved the main character, Hanalei. She was super sweet, and our male main character, Sam, was really great as well. And I think it was a good time. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I liked it. I would recommend it. I just maybe wouldn't recommend it to everyone. I would recommend this to, if you are like newer into fantasy, I would probably recommend this book because it's a very easy world to dive into. It is also a beautiful world. Tamarind is absolutely stunning in this book. It is such a sweet world. I love that it's all based around Polynesian culture. It's very cool. It was a good time. It was a good time. I liked this book. I really did. I feel like, because like everyone's rating system is so different, and I feel like maybe I need to like make a video on my rating system, because a 3.5 is good. A 3.5 is a good book to me. Like, I liked it. It just wasn't perfect, and it wasn't like the best book I've ever read. So yeah, that is Dragon Fruit. Next up, 2 out of the 5 books I read I do not have physically, and that is because I borrowed them, because I did not want to buy them. So, as we all know, the It Ends With Us movie came out, and it was really something special, that's for sure. And so I have never read the book, and I was just like, I gotta know. I have to know what is going on here. So I borrowed it from a friend, and I read it, and oh boy. Guys, I fear I loved it. I fear that I really loved that book. And I really had a good time. I really loved Lily. Her character was so fascinating. Besides the writing to Ellen part and whatever. Her character was so interesting. Her backstory and how she ends up in this situation is so fascinating. I do wonder what I would have thought about the book if I didn't know everything going into it. Like, I knew the plot going into it, because like, how could you not? The book is almost 10 years old. It's kind of hard to talk. I feel like, okay, here's my take. If you are concerned about getting any spoilers about this book, I will put where to skip to right here to avoid spoilers. But also, it's been 8 years, right, since the book came out. I think it came out in 2016. I don't really think you have much of a right to be upset if you get spoiled, because I was not upset because this book is so old, and at a certain point, it's just like, come on. Come on. It's so popular. Everybody knows it. Whatever. So if you really do not want to know, skip ahead to this part of the video. For the rest of you who already know, I do wish I would have been able to experience it not knowing what happened with Ryle. I still don't think there's any world in which I would have rooted for him. I don't think there's any world in which I would have been attracted to him, because I just never found his character attractive. I mean, the fact that he like gropes Lily within the first 15 minutes of meeting her, it's just like a stranger on, like, it just, and she was into it, whatever, like it was consensual, whatever, but like, that's weird to me. And just everything he said, and like the like begging her to like sleep with him, and it was just like, I kind of got the ick from the get-go from him, because I am personally an Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez boys kind of girl in my romance. That is what I prefer. There is no world in which I can romanticize really any kind of abusive tendencies. And that, I'm also like still trying to fully get a grasp on the Colleen Hoover situation. It seems like A, she's not a good person, and B, she really romanticizes abuse in most of her other books, and this is like the one book that the guy actually ends up being abusive. So if you want to know, if you're like me and you just gotta know, I would recommend doing what I did. I would go to your local library and borrow it. I would see if a friend has it and borrow it from them if you just like don't really want to give her any more money. That's what I did. I didn't really want to give her my money, so I borrowed it. I am ashamed to say that I gave the book 5 stars. Guys, I hadn't had a book keep me up like that at night in like forever. Like, I was up all night reading it. I couldn't put it down. I was just so invested in, oh guys, I really liked it. I really liked it. Do I think I'm going to be picking up any more Colleen Hoover books? No. No, unless they fall into my lap, unless, you know, maybe I borrow one from the library just out of curiosity, or my one of my friends loans me a book. I probably will not be buying any of her books. As much as I loved It Ends With Us, I probably won't be buying a copy of it for myself, but who knows? We'll see, we'll see. But yeah, that's It Ends With Us. So next up, I read Sanctuary of the Shadow by Aurora Asher. This book, it's pretty. It's got pretty painted edges. I did not really enjoy this book. It was not for me. It was just not good. The characters didn't really have any depth. The world didn't have any depth. And it could have been a very interesting world. It could have been. Alas, it was not. And it just had no depth. The pacing was wild. The characters were like, what in the world is happening right now? And I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. I would have just given it 2 stars, but there was a point in the book where it started getting interesting. Around like the middle of the book, we start like learning things about the characters, and I'm like, oh wait, this is actually kind of interesting. Like, there's like this like, it seems like there's like this prophecy with them. They like have to be together for something, and then it just kind of, nothing happens. Nothing ends up happening, and it's like, that was such a bummer because it had so much potential. This book was basically a fantasy world built around spice. Because the top review for this book on Goodreads says the jump in quality in the spice scenes is wild. That is so true. It is like night and day. And it was like, okay, I mean, I guess know your audience. If that's what you're into, if you want a very spicy romantasy that doesn't really have a fleshed out world, this is the book for you. This is the one for you. I will not judge. If this is your thing, great. If you don't really care that much about a fleshed out world, great. Then this is for you. It is not for me. I was not a fan. And I think that's really all I have to say about it. Oh, I'm ready to put this book out of my mind. I think I'm ready for that. So yeah, that was Sanctuary of the Shadow. And then the next book I read, I also do not have physically because I read It Starts With Us. I also gave this one 5 stars, and I am less ashamed about that because Atlas is my type. Atlas is what I like to read in romance books, and he is just so phenomenal and is so there for her and so supportive, and all I have to say is the vows. The vows. The vows. That's all. That's all I have to say. If you know, you know. I really loved this book. I think it was a really great, I will say, because I know a lot of people are like, was this book really necessary? Like, do we really need it? I'm a big fan of when authors give us a fun little time with characters that we already know, like A Court of Frost and Starlight. I love that book. Love that book, because I love just getting to see the characters outside of the war and the battle and the trauma and whatever, and just being happy. Like, I love getting content like that. So, like, I'm a fan of that. So, It Starts With Us was great for me because I loved getting to see Lily with, you know, just figuring out her life and being happy and having an actual good boyfriend, and it was chef's kiss for me. It was exactly what I look for in a romance book, and I really liked it. Yeah, so I give it 5 stars. Once again, will I be buying a copy for myself? No, probably not. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I cried at the end. So, yeah, It Starts With Us. And then the last book I read this month, I want to say like top 3 of the year so far. This book. Oh God, guys. I read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book. So incredible. This is only the second historical, no, that's not true. I read an Abraham Lincoln historical fiction. This is the 3rd historical fiction I think I've ever read in my life. And 2 out of 3 of those are World War II. Because the only other one I've read is The Librarian of Auschwitz, which, phenomenal book. That book is also 5 stars. I would highly, highly, highly recommend reading that book. It is a young adult historical fiction, so like it's a little bit easier to digest. Story's great, wonderful. This book though, absolutely phenomenal. I love how the description of the book on the back is like so simple that you just like don't know what you're getting into. So basically the essence of the plot of this book is that we have 2 sisters. One of them, they have like a 10-year age gap. We have Vianne and Isabel. Vianne is a mother whose husband gets enlisted by the French army to fight the Germans. And, you know, Vianne's just trying to keep her head down, just trying to survive, just trying to make it through the war, not trying to draw any attention to herself. She's a little complacent. She's a little like, just trying to survive because she's a mother. And then we have Isabel, who is our revolutionary. She wants to be involved in the revolution so bad. And, oh God, guys, I'm gonna start crying. Oh no. Oh, like I just think about, guys, this book. So basically Isabel is a revolutionary and she is amazing. And Vianne is amazing, and this book is amazing, and I am not going to be able to give a good, thorough review of this book because I just can't. It was so good. It was so good. 5 stars. 6 stars? I will say, I know a lot of people like cried a lot throughout the whole book. I didn't really break down until the end. But when I broke down, I broke. I was sobbing uncontrollably for about an hour. And like most of that was just sitting there, like holding the book and crying and being done with the book. The last chapter, if you know, you know. The last chapter. It's like literally every single thing that could possibly be put in a book to make you cry. Kristen Hanna was just like, oh yeah, let's put this in here too. So we can make her cry even more. Like, that's literally what it felt like. And it worked. And I cried so much. And I am now going to go buy every single book Kristen Hanna has ever written because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with her writing. This book flew by. Like, it was so easy to read for historical fiction. And it was so good. It was so good. It was so good. Please read The Nightingale. So good. So that is everything I read in September. We have 3 physical books and then the Colleen Hoovers over here. I'm really proud of myself. I got really close to a 6th book, which would have been my record ever. Alas, I did not end up getting it done, but that's okay. I'm really proud of myself. If you're interested in seeing my reaction to this book, the reading vlog where I read this book will be up next week. So yeah, this video is a little bit spoilers to that video. Unfortunately, I just was not able to get it out before this video. But if you still want to see my full reaction and my full thoughts on this book, that is the place to go. So let's move on over to my October TBR. All right, so here we are at the TBR cart. Let's refill the TBR. All right, so the first book I will be reading this month is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. It's spooky season, guys, so it's time for spooky books. So I am so excited to be reading this book. I found it in a little free library, which is just wild. I have been so excited to read this book. I'm really looking forward to it. From what I understand of the plot, pretty popular high school girl gets, offed by her boyfriend, who then offs himself. And basically, 5 years later, our main character, Pip, decides to re-examine the case for her senior project, and she kind of discovers a bunch of hidden clues and things that prove that Sal, the boyfriend, might be innocent. We just go through that and try to figure out who done it. It's just a good whodunit, and I'm so excited to read this book. So let's add it to the TBR. Next up on my list of thrillers that I will be reading this month is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't take the sticker off this. That's awkward. The Fury! So from what I understand about this book, it seems very reminiscent of Glass Onion, if you've seen that movie, Knives Out, Glass Onion, where it's this girl who is, reclusive, ex-movie star, and she invites all these people to her private island over the weekend, and somebody gets murdered, and we have to figure out who done it. They're trapped there overnight. It just seems very interesting, and I want to know who. So that is The Fury. I am very excited to read this. The next book I will be putting on my TBR is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. I want to say Hillier because that feels correct, but I'm sure it's like American. It's like Hillier, whatever. Some secrets won't stay buried. This is, I believe, a very similar vibe to Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So, popular girl in school goes missing, disappears. 14 years later, her remains are discovered in the woods near her best friend's home. There was this serial killer back in the time named Calvin James, but he was the girl who died's best friend's first love. I don't know if that made sense. The best friend knew what happened to the girl who died and told no one. She ends up getting arrested and sent to prison. And just as she's being released, new bodies are turning up that are being killed in the exact same way. Maybe not exactly the same as this, but Similar vibe, popular girl from high school, you know, the gist. This book sounds so good. It has really good reviews, and this is another one that I found in a little free library. This is really the month for little free libraries, and I'm very excited about that. So these are the thrillery books that I want to try to get to this month. Then I'm very excited because I just had a delightful little package arrive with 3 more books that are going to be on my TBR. These are more spooky romances, so more of like the Halloween romance vibes. So first off, we have This Spells Love by Kate Robb. This is about a girl named Gemma who gets dumped by her long-term boyfriend. Ugh. She basically gets drunk with her sister, her aunt, and her best friend Dax. They decide to perform a love cleansing spell that will basically just allow Gemma to forget that she ever dated this guy. It works a little bit too well, and nothing in her life is the same, and her best friend Dax does not remember her. They basically had to seal the spell with a platonic kiss, and to reverse the spell, she needs to convince Dax to kiss her again, but he doesn't know her. She is like trying to woo him and starts falling for him, and it's like, wait, do I even wanna undo this? Because I don't wanna like go back to being best friends. It sounds very interesting. I am interested to see where this goes. And like, look at this cover. These covers are so stinking cute. So that is This Spells Love going on the TBR. Next up, we have The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I feel like this one is so classic. Like, this is exactly what you think of when you think of spooky romance. I've been waiting to read this one. I've been so excited. So this is about Vivian Jones. It starts off very similar to This Spells Love. Curses her ex-boyfriend, and she doesn't think it'll do anything. And when 9 years later, this ex-boyfriend comes back to the town, all these crazy, awful things start happening to him. And her ex have to work together to undo it. And, you know, they're like having feelings for each other again, and it's a whole thing. So it seems like it's a bit of like second chance romance, which is always interesting. I feel like that one's pretty hit or miss. So that is The Ex-Hex going on the TBR. Lastly, this one I'm probably the most excited about. We have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I have heard such good things about this book. Such good things I have heard. This is about a girl named Mika. She is one of the last remaining witches in Great Britain. And she gets a message from the Nowhere House. And they basically tell her that they need her to come there and teach these witches that are living there. She goes, even though she doesn't really want to, and there are all these fun, eccentric characters that live there. The most interesting one is Jamie, who is the house librarian. He doesn't really want her to be there. He's like, she's gonna cause problems. She is gonna I don't like her, we don't know her. He's not really a fan, but as they start getting to know each other, things just happen. And yeah, I am very excited to read this book. I have heard such good things about it, and I know that the next book in this world is coming out very soon. Or at least her next book. I'm not totally sure if it's in this world, but her next book comes out very soon, and I'm very excited. Very excited to add The Secret Society of Irregular Witches to the TBR. So this is my TBR for this month. I'm so excited about it. I really hope I can get to all these books, because if I read all 6 of them, that'll be my most read books in 1 month, and that would be so exciting. I really am so happy about this. So if any of these books interest you, the reading vlogs for them will be coming out periodically throughout this month. And And so definitely stick around. I would recommend subscribing so that you will see whenever those videos pop up and you can see what I think about these books. Leave a like as well if you're interested, and comment below if you've read these books. Please let me know what you think of them. Follow me on social media. My Goodreads is linked below. And yeah, I think that's everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I am so happy that you are here. If you made it all the way to the end, I am so proud of you. Good job. Very exciting month ahead of us, and hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye guys.